were given the opportunity by Clare Haven, Domestic Abuse Services here in Clare, to create an art installation based around the theme of contemporary issues in domestic abuse. Here in the Clare Haven offices in Abbey Lodge, there is a couple of unused floors, and we were given the opportunity to take the first floor of the building, which has 11 rooms, and transform it into an exhibition space. We took the 11 rooms, and due to the layout of the building, it's when you come up the stairs, you're entering a narrow corridor with rooms coming off that corridor on either side and at either end. So we decided not to put a beginning or an end to the journey someone takes, rather leave it up to them, because it's quite a disorientating space, and we decided to play on that sense of disorientation, so that it's up to the visitor to decide where they start and finish their journey through the rooms. A public person who's not familiar with someone's personal background might go, well, if you're in a domestic abuse situation, why don't you just leave? So Michelle has beautifully illustrated this through, she has taken mirrors, which she found on the site. She's cut them up and she has placed them carefully in patterns on a mound of earth, which she dug from the back of the building. So the earth is imbued with a sense of power because it comes from the site of the services that Clare Haven run. And the mirrors invite you to look at yourself, because what she's implying is that all of us are implicit in the societal response to domestic abuse and how we treat it. And she's inviting you to look at yourself and think carefully about how you yourself respond and behave around the topic of domestic abuse. When a victim is treated in a controlling manner by the abuser, again, this is something that its power builds over time. You might meet someone initially and all is good. Over time, they start to question your behaviour, they start to gaslight you, they start to change the way that they behave towards you subtly and over time, until you get to a point where you are being asked where you've been, you are under pressure to complete the shopping, for example, within a certain time. Where you go is controlled, who you speak to is controlled, who you're allowed contact is controlled, your contact with your family is controlled, and so on and so forth. We wanted to highlight the significance of the first phone call. When we worked with the service staff of Clare Haven, they told us about the power of that first phone call that a victim will make to the Clare Haven helpline. And the significance of that call, because beforehand a victim will have existed in chaos and fear. After the phone call, someone has given them context and given them a label as to what's going on in their life. Now they know that they are actually in an abusive situation, and they have been given license to call it that, and they've had their life has become a little bit more organised, and it's a powerful stepping stone along the journey of someone who's suffering from domestic abuse. One thing that stuck in my mind when I was putting this room together was what one of the Clare Haven team told me, which is in domestic abuse, verbal abuse is just as dangerous and just as insidious as physical abuse. So if you think about the significance of those words, someone who's been called names day after day, told they're worthless, told they're stupid, told they can't do anything, how this affects someone long term, how it affects your confidence and your ability to function. The audio piece is once again taken from the recollections given to us by the Clare Haven team of what has been told to them by people they've worked with who've suffered verbal abuse.
He tells me I'm a stupid bitch. Your mother is a nosy bitch. You better do this or else I'm gonna kill you.
We wanted to illustrate a lot of the statistics around domestic abuse locally here in Clare and on a nationwide level as well. We used stats were given to us by Clare Haven, and also we accessed the website womensaid.ie for those statistics. So we decided that we would highlight one particular statistic, And the statistic we chose to highlight was the women who have died violently in Ireland since statistics were officialised in 1996. So that's when these deaths started to be recorded. So at the moment, according to Women's Aid, there's 246, I apologise, women have died violently in Ireland. Now, we chose to hang that number of dresses from the ceiling of this room. So the visitor has to push through these dresses. Literally, they sweep through them. They'll brush against your skin. You'll feel them. You can smell the perfume from these dresses. These dresses were donated to us, and we accessed them to various charitable organisations who donated them for the exhibition. And it gives you a real sense of the fact that these were real people with hopes and dreams and lives whose lives were cut short through domestic violence. The dresses forced you to look at the floor because there's nowhere else to look, because you're engulfed in these dresses. And on the floor we have placed other statistics that we want for you to read about, that we feel are the most relevant ones. And in this way we force you to experience these women's lives, and secondly, walk through the exhibition, walk through the space, engulfed in these dresses, and read the statistics on the floor. The visitor is confronted with a locked door. And when you stand and listen close to the door, you will hear the sounds of an argument happening behind the door. And it's a muffled argument. You can't quite make out what's being said, but you can hear the tone of the voices, and you can hear the fear, you can hear the rising emotion, and you can hear the shouting. And it's a very significant, very powerful piece, because you can't see what's going on. It's left to your imagination to put together the scene in your head.
You're overreacting. It was a couple kisses after 3 years, Jenna. Things happen. And go where? What are you fucking stab me, Jenna? Are you out of your fucking mind? Fucking mind? Fuck you! Fuck you!
Beside the hidden argument space, we deliberately placed the room which is entitled Abuse in the Home. We want you to walk into the room and listen and watch. And what you'll soon realise upon entering this space is that all is not quite right. There's something going on in this space. And the point of the space is to give the visitor a sense of what it's like to be a child living in a house where domestic violence occurs. And if you stand in the space and listen, you will also hear just about the sound of the muffled argument from next door. Opposite the abuse in the home room, we have a video piece created by Paul Corey, and it's called Journey Through the Services of Clare. So what Paul has done has, we invite you into the space to sit down and listen and watch the video piece he's made. He has interviewed various members of the Clarehaven team who are talking about the services they offer and the nature of the work they do.
Recognising abuse within your home as a child. If you have grown up as something, you may see it as normal, but it's an important message for us to share, and it's an important message for schools to share as part of their Stay Safe programmes, that abuse isn't normal and it's not okay, and it's not okay that any child should ever experience it.
Usually a family will enter the refuge, rarely in a calm way, usually in a chaotic, turbulent time. They'll be highly stressed and emotional. They may have left their home in the middle of the night. They may have packed in a hurry. They may have been escorted to the refuge by the guards. The refuge room has to fit everyone, has usually been accessed in a hurry by the family. What we've sought to show you is that usually the family don't know how long they're going to be there for. They've had to bring whatever they could pack in a hurry, essentials if they've managed to bring them. Likely the children haven't been able to bring all the things they would like to bring. Likely there's quite often a pet that's been left at home who the children are desperately worried about, and they're in this in between land state where they don't know when they'll be able to access their home again. They've left in a highly emotive state, and that will show in the space.
I know I kind of disappeared the last few days. Things have been pretty busy. It hasn't been great. Go play with your toys. Sorry about that. It's just my brother.
Now, the red tape is festooned around them and wrapped around them, and it's clear that they can't, they're trying to fight their way through this red tape. And it's a physical manifestation of what someone suffering from domestic abuse who's trying to leave that situation encounters with the bureaucratic systems they have to work with. And it's a very strong space, and it actually gives you I think it gives you a clear idea of the hardships and the challenges faced by women. When you're dealing with child services, you're dealing with social welfare, you're dealing with housing services. Every step along the way, you're meeting more and more shook heads and challenges. And it just shows that the journey doesn't stop once you reach the refuge. The Room of Hope was included to remind people that of the work that Clare Haven do, which is extraordinary work they do 24/7. And it's there to remind people that there are ways for victims of domestic abuse and families of domestic abuse to be victims to get help. And it's a room created by one of the artists on the project, Birgit Schneemann. She invites you to come and sit in the space and reflect on what you've encountered as you walk through the exhibition, and think about your own response to that. There is an opportunity to take a tag, write your thoughts, and tie it onto the tree.
My hope is that the exhibition will just give people a little bit of an insight into what a woman goes through when she's experiencing domestic abuse. It's such a roller coaster of horror and emotions for that person to go through, and it's never ending. It's even when a woman realizes after maybe 15 or 16 attempts to leave her husband, and maybe she's successful and she does leave her partner, the horror doesn't end there. Like he doesn't disappear, and the system that she has to go through is it's not very forgiving.